Hey YouTube, welcome back to another edition of Cycle QMX. I'm your host, Ryan Wood, and we are still on the road to Red Bull Crankworx. Today we're going to do a little bike check. We've done several runs on our bike, taken it out several times, and hammered it pretty good. Today I'm going to kind of give it a once over, make sure we haven't cracked any welds, make sure we haven't snapped any bolts or anything's come loose. And then we're also going to review, after we've done that bike check, for our next build. You know, do we want to build an electric bike, or do we want to build a full gas-powered? My original QMX ran a two-stroke motor, a Honda two-stroke motor, and then later versions, of course, ran the brushed motors, and then our latest version runs the brushless motor. Now, some vast, benefits, pros, cons, all that stuff. We're going to get into that today. Drivetrains, we're going to get into that today. Weight ratio, benefits, all those things, the size, the shape, how much it weighs, can you get it out of the car, do you have to have, a special lift, do you have to have a special, crane, do you have to have a, trailer, all these things add up to, the convenience or the necessity of your QMX. And so that's why we do custom build bikes, so that you can build it as you need it or for what you need it for. So with that being said, let's not drag this out anymore. Let's go ahead and get into the show. Alright YouTube, so here's the bike, and we're just going to go over a few components real quick. So first we're going to take a look at the brakes, Tektro Brakes. We don't got any leaks. The spokes still seem pretty tight. Here in the front we're running some Float Fox racing shocks, and I got them pumped up pretty high, so you can see I got this rubber marker here that tells me how far I've actually suspended the shock out. On the first couple runs it actually ended up kind of down here. I'll show you a quick clip of the skate park where I kind of bottomed out the front end. So after that, basically I had to add some more air to the shock. So luckily we are running the AirPro Fork valve, so it allows us to fill both shocks at the same time. So since these shocks are made for mountain bikes, and traditionally you only have one in the rear, you don't need this valve splitter. But in our case, because we're running front independent suspension, we would like to be able to control those equally and set them up. So that AirPro valve works out really nice to make that happen. Additionally, we got the MagLock Pedals. As you've seen in some of my clips, they kind of just snap my feet on there. We'll go ahead and show you some examples of that real quick. So now moving on to the next piece is our steering spindle here. We are currently running FSA, full speed ahead, integrated 45-degree angle cartridge bearings, and we run them in here. We also run them here in the headset, in the main steer tube for the steering, and then of course on the other side as well. Now these integrated headsets are great, very strong and powerful, and very tight. So because we're running an 1.1/8" head steer tube and 1.1/8" clamp, this is more than sufficient enough to take the impact that we're putting through here. Now each one of those headsets alone are about between $30 to $45 for each headset. So $45 in that headset, $45 in that headset, $45 in that headset, plus your Fox Float racing shocks, which start around about $500 to $600 and go up from there. And we got 2 of those, so we got $1,200 just in shocks, and then we got about another $100 and $20, $30 just in headsets. So we're at like $1,500 in just 2 pairs of shocks and 3 headsets. So we got 1, 2, 3 headsets and 2 shocks, and we're already at about $1,500. And people want to know why these bikes cost so much money. So now moving on, stem, $20 to $45 for a stem. Set of handlebars, you're looking at $20. Tektro brake levers, those are about $139 each. So you got another, between the 2 levers right there, you're at about another $300 just in levers. Now if we include the calipers in that price, because you got to have the caliper, to go with that brake, that's going to add to it. So we just took our $1,500 bike and we added handlebars and 2 brake levers, and we're gonna probably bring that up to about $1,800 now. Now moving on, tires. Each one of these orange tires right here, you got 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of these 4 tires, $45 to $50 each. So that's just for the tire. We're talking about just the tires alone are $45 to $50 each. That doesn't include the tube, which is $14.99 for the tube. The rim liner, to protect your rim, that's another $2 or $3. Excuse me. And then the rim itself, right? So let's do some quick math. Let's make it an even $50 for the tire. Let's make it an even $10 for the tube, so we're at $60. And then, I'll just throw in the rim strip for free at this point just to make it easy math. So we're at $60 per tire, per wheel, and we have 4 of those. So 60 times 4 is what? 240. That's another $240 on top of our $1,800 running total already. So 18, 19, 2,000. We're at like $2,400 already, and we haven't even gotten to the frame or the rear end or the rear shocks or the rims, the wheels themselves, right? So let's get into that. Hand-built, hand-laced, custom machined billet hubs, 20-inch fat rims with heavy-duty gauge stainless steel spokes. Each wheel is going to cost you about $300 minimum. Just the rim, spokes, hub, and assembly. Each one's going to cost you $300 to have built, have made, or to buy, right? So that $300 done once again times 4, right? So 3 times 4, that's 12. So that's another $1,200 on top of our whatever it was, $2,400. I'm gonna have to start adding this up. I'll start putting a little total up for you, and we'll add it all together for you. But we're talking about another $1,200 on top of our $2,400. So that's 34, 6, 7, 30, about $3,600 already. We'll start running some totals here real quick. So, and that doesn't include the frame yet, or the rear shocks, or assembly, or shipping, or the seat cushion, or the backrest. So let's go ahead and continue. Another big expense is Jaime joints. See this little ball joint right here? I got one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6. Oh no, we got the ones in the back too. We forgot about those. So we got a whole set of them in the back. So we're at 6. We got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We got 14 of those Jaime joints. 14 Jaime joints. And each one of those can be anywhere from like, I don't know, $5 to $10 per Jaime joint. You know, so that's another $160 or something. Another $200 with taxes and shipping and all that stuff. Whew, this is adding up quick. All right, let's continue. So we got more Tektro calipers back here, right? So those are adding up. Oh, and then rotors. Shoot, we forgot the rotors. You know, I got 180 millimeter rotors on here. Each one of those rotors, so each one of these rotors, you know, you can find them online, whatever, but each one, you're looking at about another $20 to $35 per rotor. And we got 4 of those, right? So we'll add that to our total. All right, now that we're running up totals, let's add these beautiful DHX2 Fox racing shocks to that total. We got 2 of those, and those run anywhere, basically they start around $700 to $800 each. And we got 2 of those, so that's another $1,400, right? And let's not forget all the hardware. The clamps, the bolts, the screws, the nuts, everything that holds this together. We're gonna go ahead and throw on another about $50 just in bolts. You got a bolt here, you got a bolt in the seat, you got bolts everywhere. We're gonna add another $50 for all that hardware, which is pretty cheap. And then we got the seat itself. So I have on this particular one, I have the leather backrest. Which is custom stitched with the orange stitching. That's another $200. I ran a fiberglass seat pan on this one with an aluminum frame rail. So just this whole seat, not including the backrest or the cushion, but we will include the side rails. That's another $400 just in this aluminum custom seating, right? And then of course your cushion, you can buy any kind of cushion you want. I just have a foam one in here. That's probably about 25 bucks. But if you wanted to buy a nice one, like an air cushion or a gel cushion, or you wanted a whole fiberglass molded seat, you know, that's of course gonna raise your price as well. So all that being said, that doesn't include the custom fabrication on the frame or the powder coating, or you know, any of the other custom features, the whole swing arm, that whole swing arm assembly, your laser cut, CNC laser cut brackets, hardware, all that stuff adds up, right? So you're probably looking at another $300 in just steel and materials, and then you can add another about $400 or $500 in CNC machining, right? Because you had to have all those parts cut out. And then you still have to get this whole thing powder coated or painted or whatever you want to do to that. So we're gonna add another $100 onto that for powder coating, which is like a minimum order at most places. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and add up that total. Now, this is a gravity bike. So that doesn't include your brushless motor, doesn't include your gas motor, doesn't include your drivetrain. So if you had an electric motor, you would have to have some kind of chain, sprocket, axles, some way to connect those wheels to that drivetrain. So CVC joints, solid axle, any of those things are also going to be required and increase the cost of your bike and how it actually functions, because now you're going to have to add extra bearings to make that axle spin. You're going to have bearing housings to encage all that, and that's also going to add to the price of a bike. So adding a motor really increases, almost doubles the cost of the bike, because now you have to add that drivetrain. Now you have to have that electronics. Now you have to have wiring. Oh, and now you have to have a battery. So if you add electric motor, you got to have a battery, which is now adding weight and space. So let's start running another total, but let's go ahead and add this one up, and then we'll look at some side-by-side comparisons of how much it would cost to build one out of gas and how much it would just cost one to build out electric. And then I'm also going to propose, you know, just going out and buying a quad or going out and buying a 1986 Odyssey that used to be hand controls, and you could modify one of those, or going out and buying a golf cart and modifying one of those. ADA regulations recently have been changed and updated, allowing you to make your own custom adaptive equipment and take it out into national parks. So if you want to double check like that, look up ada.gov and look up wheelchair accessibility in national parks. All right, YouTube, now that we've done our bike check, let's go ahead and add some of this stuff up. And then what we'll also do is then I'll throw up some charts. So we're going to do gas, electric, and then gravity. And then we'll do just straight up comparison, cost-wise, build-wise, time-wise, transportation-wise, weight, how you can get this thing in your car, how you going to get it down the road, how you going to get it to wherever you're taking it to. Maybe your condition, maybe you just want to ride it straight from the house, but not everybody has that capability. And sometimes people want to go to the mountain, and what are you going to do when you get there? Are they going to let you in? Is it going to be a hassle every time you go there, explaining why you have an electric motor, explaining why you have a gas motor, explaining why they should let you into a national park? I've had some officials actually say that our bikes weren't exercised, even though you take it down the mountain, even with the electric motor on it, you're huffing and puffing, you're holding, you're moving, you're doing stuff, and yet still somehow they think it's not an exercise. So we removed the motor off our gravity chair, which you've seen in the recent videos, and this is to basically prove a point that even without a motor, even without pedaling, even without anything, this sport, downhill mountain bike racing, is an activity. And downhill QMX racing or any gravity chairs, now tell me that Red Bull Crankworx is not a sport, and tell me it's not a physical activity. You think those athletes doing backflips and tail whips are not exhausted by the end of that run? Please, right? But I'll digress. Let's move on. So if you're watching this video, you're like me. You've probably scoured the internet, you've probably scoured YouTube, looking for that ultimate build, looking for that off-road truck, looking for that off-road vehicle, looking for that, crazy Barbie car or crazy Jeep, or, those old school ATCs, or, watching the Razors. And, of course you've looked up, off-road wheelchairs, and you've seen the tank track ones, and you've seen, the bubbly tired ones that go on the sand, and, you've seen the gas-powered ones, and you've seen the ones that are like $1 million that, have suspension, and you can load right up onto them, and, there is a lot out there, and the premise is that everybody's different, and everybody has different wants and needs. You can go on Craigslist, maybe buy something new, and if you got skills of fabricating, you got the tools, you got a welder, you got a shop to build in, you got drill press, you got grinders, you got cutters, you got laser cutter. All right, YouTube, just a few more things to wrap this up. Now, you can go out and buy a used dirt bike, but then you got used dirt bike problems. Are you going to be in a wheelchair and stuck on a mountain, and your spark plug fouled out, or your filter went bad, or your motor seized? In the same sense, the electric bikes, if you go on Craigslist and buy a used electric bike, you don't know how old those electronics are. You don't know how old that motor is, or how much water it's been in, or how long it's been sitting. And same thing with the battery. If you buy a used scooter and it comes with the batteries are normally only good for about 2 years, and then they need to be replaced. And batteries can be very expensive. Battery could be the whole price of the scooter itself. You want a 50 amp hour 48 volt battery, that's $1,200. Look it up on Amazon, $8.99, $1,200 for that same battery. So that's more than the price of the scooter itself, right? So buying used may not be the best option. Now, if you were to buy something new, you want to buy a brand new CR 110, 4-stroke bike, you're looking at a couple $1,000s. You want to buy a brand new 3,000 watt, let's say 5,000 watt electric motorcycle or scooter, you're talking $2,400. Now that $2,400 is just to get those motors and electronics off that vehicle, to then custom build your own vehicle to make it wheelchair accessible or some kind of off-road device that you're trying to build, and that all adds up. In my mind, you should have just bought that off-road thing to begin with, called it a day. But that's a different story, different day. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We're gonna finish this off with a few clips of the downhill bike. We do a lot of filming and a lot of stuff that we never even show because trying to fit everything in a 15 or 20 minute video is just way too long. And I don't know about you, but I got other things to do besides sit around and watch YouTube all day. Peace.
What I would say is, if and when you do talk to Maggie,
Right.
pedal assist is kind of more the idea that they're going to be looking at.
Right.
So I think through shopping bikes and looking at what the next set of purchases is,
Right.
a lot of the stuff that you've got is at a lower price point.
Right.
So that I think that's a great opener for when we start.
And all of our bikes can be made pedal assist.
Right. And I think that's the key to what the program's looking for.
For the transition
is
period.
The pedal assist.
Yep.
Not full blown. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds great, Even if you guys only had like 2 of the full downhill bikes, you have disabled people, but even a small percentage of those disabled people are actually going to want to go downhill. Most of them are just going to want to tool around, and that's going to be more than enough for them.
Right.
It's going to be like a little bit more flat and a little downhill.
Right.
However, that same person, what's going to happen is after 1-2 seasons,
Right, they're gonna
get so good at that.
Yeah.
They're going to get hooked.
Right, but then at that point, just like with this sport, just like with any other sport, the next evolution is downhill.
Yeah.
Because now you got your cross country, you got your enduro disabled bikes already. With the pedal assist, that's going to help people stay out longer because their arms are not spent by the end of the day.
Yep.